Do this just 21. Say it again.
We're going to do 21 warrior breaths. And what you want to do is we're on a stool here, but when you do breathing, you want to make sure that your diaphragm and your stomach has room to travel. So you want your knees at or below, preferably below your hips. And we're pretty good here because we have good posture. You also want to stack your shoulders and your spine right over the top of your head. So head, shoulders, and spine all in a perfect line. And just roll your shoulders and just relax for a moment. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Just for the sake of air, I'm going to move the mic to the side.
Good.
So we're literally going to use two passageways, right? So we're going to use the nose and the mouth, and we're going to exhale fully and inhale fully. So this is about you getting in and out as much air as possible. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it super simple, and just breathe in and out 21 times. Okay. At the last 21, and I'm going to count with my hands here, we're going to exhale fully and we're going to hold for 5 seconds. This is Mark Divine's box breathing. This is called tactical breathing. This is a great start for anyone. It's easy to remember. It's just 5-second hold on the exhale, 5 seconds in on the inhale, 5 seconds hold, and then another 5-second exhale. So I'll guide everyone through it. Okay? As we're ready, we're just going to do a big breath in and a big breath out, and then I'm going to count with my hands, and we're going to do 21 of these. So big breath in, big breath out. 21. Hold for 5. Exhale for 5. Hold for 5. Inhale for 5. One more round now of 21. So same thing we just did. So exhale, inhale for 21. Hold. Pull your belly in. If you feel lightheaded, that's great. Inhale for 5. Hold for 5. Lightheaded is good. Relaxation is good. Exhale for 5. Fully out. Now we're going to retention breathe. So hold in and hold. Be calm in this state. And just hold for as long as you can. Take another sip of air in. Notice how it feels to just be okay with holding. You're not doing anything wrong. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you need to take a breath, and maybe you need to take a quick breath, and all you're going to do is just go like this. And just take one more. And if you haven't, that's fine too. And we're just going to continue to hold right here. Feel how your belly and your chest are full of air. There's nowhere you need to go. Remember, if you need to take another breath in, you're just going to simply breathe out quickly and take another full breath in quickly. If you don't need to breathe, you're doing great too. And just notice in this space, where does your mind go? Does your mind want to take you somewhere where you feel like you have to breathe? Can you calm that part of your monkey mind? And just for an introduction, we're going to do one more quick exhale, quick inhale. And for this one, pull in your perineum, pull in your buttocks, pull in basically your bathroom muscle, and then pull in your abdomen. And now for this last hold, just press your chin to your chest. Your perineum, your belly button, your chin, everything you're just holding here. Go for as long as you can, and when you've reached that point where you feel like you really need to breathe, go another 5 to 7 seconds. And then just breathe out all your air. And just go back to your normal breathing. And you can notice we only did a couple rounds. Typically we do that maybe 2 or 3 more rounds. But I feel in my body more relaxation.
Oh yeah, major state change.
Major state change.
Wow.
Even the way I'm speaking is slower. There's more of a coherence. Heart math calls it heart coherence. So if I can match with either technology or just with sitting with you, my breath and my heart, that's true coherence. So all of us on YouTube, Mike and Josh, we were all breathing together. So we were coherent with one another. And I guess a big takeaway on that breath work was when you were doing the holds, was it a freak out feeling? Because that's where the training is, and if it wasn't, then you're starting at a higher space than most people. Also, you can do 30 of those breaths. You can do a 2 to 3 minute retention hold, never doing that restorative breath. The restorative breath is just to get you back to that space where you can hold it again. So you noticed a couple of times when we were holding, we went like this. That's just to give your body oxygen again so you can do an even longer hold. So the goal would be to do 20 to 30 of those warrior breaths, and then that retention lasts for a minute, 2 minutes, even 3 minutes without you having to do that recharge breath. And that, my friends, is a immediate state change, no matter who you are. And it's a great place for doing other breathing as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I love these tools, Josh, because, we talk about fasting, we talk about exercise. A lot of these things are free, as is breath work. And it's, trying to teach people, because, the barrier to entry to be healthy nowadays, like grass-fed beef, organic this, whatever, Joovv Light, all these things are amazing, but they cost money.
Yeah.
And so, friends, I don't know if you did the breath work with us, but I feel a major state change. And amazing.
Yeah,
that's
it's powerful.
Really...
And we just did one mode. I mean, we could do a lot more, but I think anyone can do around 20 of those super breaths, the oxygenation. I think it's interesting to watch our ego too.
Yeah.
While we do this, I should have held it more.
I know, I was thinking that.
I should have done deeper breaths. And it's just start where you are with what you have. It's free. Anybody can do it. And it's an immediate state change. Imagine if now you went and talked to your wife or your husband or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or just a friend.
Or child.
Or child or whatever.
You'd be in such... that temptation to finish this, do that. I got this to do. And it's man, that before, and people talk about this, they've talked about this on the podcast, before I go into my home, I do whatever, turn off my phone or do this, because we're not really present when we're with the people we should be present with.
Yeah.
And, or when we eat our food, right? A lot of people are just eating, they're on Instagram, they're watching Netflix. They don't realize that digestion really starts up here.
Oh,
and the
so
whole
good.
parasympathetic tone.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on what you said, because science has shown, and we can give this study. It's a unique study. I do not remember the name of it, but it is online, and we can link it. 6 deep breaths in and out through the nose. So 6 of these. 6 inhale and exhale through the nose has been scientifically proven to shift you over to parasympathetic. Just 6. Now, we went a lot deeper than 6, but think about if you could cue yourself through repetition training. If you're about to experience something stressful, or if you're feeling stress, can you answer the call to do 6 deep breaths? I mean, if you can just remember to do that one thing, then the time you spent here with us is super valuable for you. Just that one thing.
It's so powerful. And studies, speaking of studies, show that, the stress that we have perceived lack of control, stuck in traffic, stuck on an airplane, you don't really know when the outcome will be, or probably the worst, right? And in that situation, there's really nothing else that you can do to mitigate that outside of breath or meditation. And it's really hard to do. And so I think I've tried to meditate in that situation. I've been on an airplane I remember it was a summertime in Chicago, no air conditioning, hot as heck. And we didn't know how long we were going to be there. And it was really just irritating. Come on, you don't even know. And,
right.
And that was really stressful. I could see around in the airplane, 150 people were irritated, and I was trying to meditate, but it was hard. And so I think I'm just thinking out loud here, just as we just did this, because I'm a breathwork novice. I know nothing. Getting into a meditative state or sitting down to meditate can be challenging, because I'm thinking of the emails. I'm thinking of all the stuff I have to do. I did, the Vipassana technique, did the silent retreat, all that sort of stuff. But it's man, if I could do some breath work before meditating, I could easily sit quietly for 20 minutes. You
and Dr. Ruscia hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what he said, because what happens is, and I do this in our M21 guide, this is a giveaway. It's a guided breathwork journey that I give to people on Wellness Force site. We guide people to make their bed, hydrate with lemon, salt, and water, and then do their breath work. And after the breath work comes your meditation. Because when we do the breath work, we're out of the monkey mind. It's really challenging to just sit down if maybe you're in stress. Well, what gets rid of stress immediately? It's the right kind of breath. So I think anyone that struggles with meditation would be apt to try breath work pre-meditation, because then you're getting monkey mind shut off, and you're getting the stillness practice and all the benefits that happen in our brain from meditation. It's the best way to do it.
That's amazing.
In my experience.
No, I agree. I mean, I came at this kind of meditation thing from doing yoga for low back pain and stuff. So I would do some yoga poses beforehand, but that was like, it was 15 minutes of yoga, then meditation, my cold plunge, like the whole morning was shot. I mean, I love doing this stuff, but we have work and obligations, people.
This is why I have a 21-minute system where I take people through, like, because you and I have both interviewed some amazing, intelligent people that really have just scoured the earth to find what are the dots that we can connect that actually make a difference. And it's interesting that the majority of them said that breath work and meditation were a crucible that most people are a little afraid to go through because there's stillness involved. There's being vulnerable involved. But you know what, you guys, like, if you did it with us now or on the replay, like, it ain't that hard, and it feels damn good. It
feels amazing.
And this is how many things are like this in life too, where we go through something and it becomes so easy on the other side when the ego is just kind of afraid to explore it up front.
Yeah. So to make this a habit, I mean, do you recommend, like you said, you get out of bed, you hydrate, you do your breath work like every day? Is that kind of the thing?
That is. And so I really love the 6 pillars. And if people want this, I would love to give it to your audience, if that's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's wellnessforce.com/M21, and it just means morning 21. 21 minutes. So for 21 minutes, you make your bed, you hydrate with salt, lemon, and water, you do your breath work, you do your meditation, then you just mobilize, you do a womb squat, you do some different T reaches, then you journal, and then you set the intention for the day. And that's it. You can do it all in 21 minutes. It doesn't have to be some elaborate, crazy system. Mm-hmm. And I found that those 6 core components have been really like a godsend for me. Because there was a lot of my life where I dealt with anxiety, and it still pops up from time to time. I'm human. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, to be human is to have excitement, anxiety, nervousness, all the full palette of emotions. So I think those 6 things and plugging in breath work before the meditation have made a huge difference for me. And we had thousands of people download this guide, and they're all saying the same thing. Some of them might tweak it, but they all do the breath before they meditate, which is that's a thread that's always being connected.
Yeah. And no harm on the meditation community and stuff, but I don't think they emphasize that. I think it's more like, hey, do your 20 minutes twice a day and you're good to go. And that probably can work for some people, but now we have different tools. And
also too, we're more accosted with attention draining things than we ever were. So if we recognize that we're a soul in a meat suit, we're half beast, we're half spirit. Okay. You're you inside of your body, however analytical or spiritual you want to get. So we have to take care of the body. We get to take care of the conduit so that the stress can be properly released. If the conduit's dirty, if we're not taking care of the body, if we're not doing breath work, if we're not moving, that's when the challenges come for people to sit in the stillness, Mike, because there's so much almost like noise that's left inside of the body from it not moving, not breathing, not taking care of the conduit, that anything you do from an energetic or stillness standpoint is going to be more challenging because the body's kind of stuck in a way.
It makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah. I'm curious to see what people are saying on the chat bar. I like to check in here. So Josh, it's awesome to have you on here. We get some stuff in here from Tracy.
I love these names. These are such fun names.
I know, yeah.
Swamp Hawk.
It's really funny. Someone says, "Wow, I feel high, much more relaxed."
I'm
so glad people actually did this with us. That's really
right.
cool. Dina says, "I love this. I feel very relaxed as well. I feel happy. Where can I find you?" So, friends, if you're listening right now, or you're watching the replay, or you're listening to this in iTunes, the links are going to be in the show notes and also right below this video in the description. So, I linked your Instagram, Josh. But when I'm done here, I will upload that URL that you mentioned.
Cool.
Wellnessforce.com/M21.
M21. Just think 21 minutes. What can I get done in 21 minutes?
I love that, man.
You can get a lot done in 21 minutes if you're intentional.
Totally
if you spend it with intention, it's powerful.
Yeah. Not to shift gears too much, but you at your peak of your obesity or overweightness, you were 280 pounds. 280. Yeah, and so your stress and your ability to manage stress and mitigate stress. I mean, obviously nutrition was a big part of that, but how like looking back, what would you tell the younger Josh, if you could talk to him? I
would tell him to take a deep breath. And it's close to my heart too, because there's a tattoo on my arm and it says "Se posso respirare, posso scegliere." And in Italian, this means if I can breathe, I can choose. And so I got this before I did Mark Divine's Seal Fit event in 2017 because I really wanted a reminder to breathe. And it's such a big deal to me. I like tattooed on my body because anytime I can remember to take a deep breath, especially 6 of them, whatever I do, whoever I'm communicating with, whoever I'm trying to connect with afterwards, even if it's myself. So you asked me about what would I say to my younger Josh? I would tell him, hey man, I love you, and take 6 deep breaths and then let's go forward. That's what I would mention to him.
Do you think you would have understood that back then?
I think he would have.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could literally go in like a fun time machine and go back and talk to him, he would receive what I'm saying because he would feel my confidence through experience and the way I articulate it to him. So I think he would know, like, okay, this is the older Josh telling me to breathe 6 times. All right, I'll listen. You know, because honestly, what happened to me then when I was younger is I did not have that primary father energy where I could like kind of trust what he would say. And I grew up in a very volatile experience, which a lot of us do. I think it's a soul contract that many of us unfold. You know, we come into these parental examples that they're just a product of their unhealed parents. It's just this big, long chain. So when it comes to shifting state, which is really what we're talking about, you know, what would I tell my younger self to shift his state, to give him more calmness, to shift him to parasympathetic? I would tell him to breathe 6 times.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's really good. And then make it a habit, make it a routine.
That's
you know,
right.
just part of that. And so you got the guide. Now you've interviewed a lot. You were talking about, I mean, how all like part of why you created this guide is from all these great interviews you've had. If someone was listening right now, what interview would you say that was the most profound or enlightening when it comes to understanding breath and how you can manipulate that you've had on your show?
You know what? I would have said Niraj Naik, the founder of Soma, but I just interviewed Dan Brule, and he's the founder of Breath Mastery. And that rocked my world because here's a guy who's been doing breathwork training with some of the biggest athletes in the world, Navy Special Warfare. He spoke at Mark Divine's Unbeatable Mind retreat. That's where I first found out about him. And the way that he can explain what breath is doing from a science and a spirituality standpoint is utterly fascinating. Wow. So I love doing interviews like that because not only do we talk about the emotional and the cathartic release, but we get down with the science so that the people that need it the most, not to piss you off, analytical people, I'm one of them sometimes too. It's really important to understand like what is actually going on from a physiologic perspective, like what's happening in our bodies. And he went into that as well. So Dan Brule, it's coming out in a week.
Sweet,
I think it's actually coming out next week.
I'm excited. I'm going to download that for sure and listen to it. So, you know, a lot of people we self-medicate with food, with pornography, with alcohol, things like that. I mean, how is that affecting? I mean, you talked about how breath work not only affects the physiology, but also our spirit, right? And our energy. How do those poor coping mechanisms affect ultimately our well-being?
Oof. I love this question. So, what is the number one thing that blocks us from being authentic? Could be anything. Just throw out a guess.
Being incongruent, I think.
Being incongruent with ourselves.
Okay.
And if you dig to the bottom of what makes us not authentic, it's because we really haven't taken in what we think is true and spoken it out into existence. We're not being the truth. We're not speaking our truth because we're not fueling it with enough breath. So if I'm scared of something, if I'm anxious, I'm probably going to go like this. And I'm going to hold my breath, and I'm not really going to be congruent with what's going on in my physiology. I'm going to feel the stress, but I'm going to try to like mash it down, or I'm going to drink another cup of coffee, or I'm going to go watch porn, or I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to stay 5 hours after at work, or whatever it is. But meanwhile, inside of us is always this seed of what's really happening. The real truth is always in there. And so people ignore it because it can be really, really scary. And I think the coping mechanisms that you listed, which I've done them all. I've done them all, man. And they never give me the peace that I'm looking for. They never give me the satisfaction that I want, which is the deep breath and the knowing that I'm safe, I'm supported, I'm on the right path, no matter where I am, even if it's hard. And that's what all of us deserve. We deserve that as human beings, as sentient, things that deserve love. We all come into this world with the same amount of potential. We all start at different places, but we all come in with the same amount of potential. So if we're being congruent in feeling our emotions, breathing them in, speaking them out, then we're going to be authentic. And that's where the juice of life comes from, is when we're just being our damn selves.
I love that, man. So when it comes to like drinking alcohol, I mean, I know you've done some spiritual medicine and plant-based medicines and things like that, but alcohol, caffeine, are you trying to limit these things?
Yes. I had a coffee today. I typically don't do coffee But, I was going to connect with you. I wanted my verbal fluency to be on point, and I forgot my qualia, which is my nootropic. So occasionally I will dabble in caffeine. Occasionally I will dabble in alcohol. But notice how I said occasionally, like there's an intention behind it. I think this is really at the crux of your question. If I were to do anything at all, whether it's a supplement or a food or just, am I being intentional about what I'm eating, what I'm drinking? So if I'm going to have a coffee, it's for a purpose. And by the way, if you just want to have a coffee to enjoy a coffee, that's a purpose too. But it's the mindless kind of slave behavior that we get away from. Oh, it's Tuesday and I always have drinks on Tuesday. Well, why? Why do you always have drinks on Tuesday? Like for what? What's the purpose behind it? Like what's your intention? And I think we can fractal that out to anything we do from a health perspective. Why do we go to the gym when we really don't like it? Can we do something else that we enjoy that's more aligned with us breathing? I mean, think about what breathing really is, man. It's just like, it's a check-in. When we breathe, we're checking in. Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things? Am I being me? So we need as many check-ins as possible now in our current world.
Totally. I mean, do you ever find yourself like, we were talking about phone use and so forth. I have a 7-year-old, many of you guys know. She's been on the channel a few times. Mitigating, cool. Cell phone use and stuff like that. And especially it's pervasive in adults, but kids, they're plugged into this operating system. Do you use breath work because this thing is like tugging at us, like it's like this gravitational pull,
man.
like we were talking about. So
it's so intense.
Do you use breath to be like, you know what? I'm not going to check Instagram right now. I'm not going to be on the internet.
All right. Well, my truth is that no, I haven't. And you just reminded me to. So thank you. Because I was letting you know that my phone is in the kitchen. My room is across the hall. And when I wake up to get my hydration after I make my bed, I feel the pull to check the phone. And it's like, wait a minute. Do I really need to check the phone right now? Like, what is this? What's going on? And I realized that I have been training that part of my limbic system to receive that variable response, as Nir Ayal talks about. He wrote a book called Hooked. He's a very, very intelligent behavioral science. He's a scientist, really. I believe he's a behavioral specialist, but I consider him to be a science. And he studied why people actually keep going back to the phone. And they keep going back to the phone because their limbic brain is craving that variable response. Not the same response, but something brand new every single time. And where else in nature, look at food and our cravings for salt and sugar and fat. Where else in nature do we always wake up and go to a spot that gives us something new every time? It doesn't exist, my friends. It doesn't exist. So these phones have hijacked that part of our limbic system. And I think that's kind of the scary and the empowering conversation that we could have, which is, well, what do we do now? Because the phones aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think awareness in managing your expectations and I think being aware that the software programs and look, we're on YouTube right now. People listen to this in iTunes. Like, we're not demonizing these things, but
it can be a powerful tool.
Yeah,
but we can connect with one another.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so a lot of people are doing like tech-free weekends, tech-free Sundays, stuff like that. Have you started implementing that personally, or?
You know what? I got to give a shout to Thaddeus Owen at Primal Hacker because he does retreats and they talk about how to literally retrain that part of your limbic system. And one thing that I found fascinating about what they do is that they have phone-free weekends where you're going for an entire weekend. For parents, that's like, wait a minute, you don't understand. I have my kids. There's always a way. You can have a babysitter or a grandparent or someone else, and then you can give your phone maybe to the leader. And if it really rings, or then they can let you know. There's always a way. I think we're just creatures of habit. We get in our grooves and we're always getting something, by the way. This is the part of behavioral science that I love the most is whether you look at Charles Duhigg's work or, there's the cue, there's the thing. It's like, oh, there's cake. There's the response. There's the thing that you do. And then there's like the after effect. Was that a good choice or not? And the way that Charles Duhigg explains this in The Power of Habit is amazing. But between the stimulus and the response, there is a little gap. There's a space where we can decide. And if we can bring in the breath into it, if we can take a deep breath right there between the stimulus and the response,
make better decisions.
Then when we get to the reward mechanism of Duhigg's model, the reward is like something that we actually wanted rather than we were being a slave to. And that's the part that I think it's going to be a lifelong learning curve for all of us. Not to paint doom and gloom, like we're here having the conversation, sure. But the more we're aware, the better.
That's amazing. No, I agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, just slowing down. I mean, I do this with like even healthy, we make ice cream at home. My wife will make ice cream out of whey protein and collagen, and I'll want to go back for seconds. And I'm like, but it's just like, is it a need or a want, right?
Yeah.
And just taking a breath, taking a moment, realizing is it true hunger or not. And then so we talk a lot about fasting, and I think
Yeah.
breath work and fasting, I think that could be very powerful, like changing your physiology.
It's just really interesting. I've done breath work at the end of an ayahuasca journey, and I've done breath work when I'm out in nature and I haven't eaten for a while. And I would say that without my body having to digest food, with my body being very open, the breath work can be more impactful. It can be more intense in a way. So that'd be interesting to look at the science behind that, and then also like anecdotal, just how people are feeling over the course of time. I could see though, with less food in the body, with less of that thermic effect going on, that we would be more apt to just be feeling and doing one thing rather than our body having to digest food as we're doing breath work or as we're doing anything. This is why the Native Americans do vision quests. This is where vision quests came from. They fast and they do, I think, dry as well. Some of these vision quests, there's no water, but they do that because they want to get way down into someone's psyche to see what's there. Wow. So this is there is some ancient history around people not eating food and fasting and doing these vision quests with specific breath work and also shamanic things as well.
Now, those vision quests, are those plant-based medicine mediated or just?
I think sometimes they are, but I believe there's also vision quests, like Dr. Kyra Bobinet. She wrote 10 lessons in brain science, and she was on the show. This is a fascinating woman. She's, I believe, either half or whole Native American, and she did a vision quest with no psychedelics, no plant medicine, just water and her thoughts and her breath.
Wow.
And that took her to the place where she got to clean out the bottom of the tar on the well emotionally and be like, oh, this is how I'm showing up as a mother. This is how I'm showing up as a professional. These are the changes that I get to make now that I've been still enough and my body hasn't been distracted by anything other than water and breath. And it's challenging though, right? I mean, how many people are kind of wincing like, whoa, you want me to go 3 or 4? I think some of these vision quests can be even 7 days, without anything. So, but we can titrate. We can start with just like doing breath work. Then we can go into a Vipassana, which I've done, which was very challenging. And then we could do a vision quest, which I've never actually done.
What's Vipassana?
Oh, it's a Vipassana,
okay.
a 10-day silent meditation.
Yeah.
Where the whole thing, they're cueing you with breath. So Vipassana meditation is you don't, no masturbation, no meat. So for like keto, maybe a little challenging. You can't look at anyone. You can't talk to anyone. And all you do for 10 days is you meditate.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very spiritual practice. And to be honest, I would not recommend it to everyone.
Because I would start out small.
I would start out smaller. Do a weekend first.
The 10-day. I haven't done the 10-day, but so yeah, the Insight Meditation Society also they teach the Vipassana technique.
And you know what, Mike? They do intermittent fasting. I just realized this with Vipassana because you skip breakfast for many of these days, and some days, I believe, is it for most days? I can't even remember. I think we only had 2 meals a day for the majority of these days. So there is some. This is the Goenka. Goenka is the leader, the spiritual leader that has this Vipassana that I went to in the desert. And they do things their way. And it's interesting to see the overlap with intermittent fasting and breath when it comes to Vipassana.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. I mean, I see a lot of comments from a lot of folks that comment and say that they felt this enlightenment, more secure with kind of where they're placed in the world and direction of what their life is going through fasting. So I think it's kind of interesting to kind of like maybe close this conversation with the overlap and the parallels there. And I'm thinking too, when you're fasting, at least after, for me, day 3, and I would love to know what you all think, it's hard to sleep. And I'm thinking like, wow, what, because I'm thinking about food and what way to kind of break that chain of thought. But, I think a better way would be breath work. And so I'm going to use this and dive into your podcast and some of the tools that you have to learn about that, Josh. So super grateful that you came on, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here in Seattle. And,
all right.
And I'll put links, if you guys are watching this later on, I'll put links to the chat that we just did here earlier. Josh did a wonderful interview talking with me. But folks are listening right now. Where can they go? Where should they?
Wellnessforce.com is the website. Wellness Force Radio is the podcast. And then please download this guide. I spent a lot of time on it because I tried everything myself multiple times. I figured out that the breath work was best before the meditation. And I connected the dots of all these people. Whether you've heard of Tim Ferriss or not, there's a reason why he wrote Tools of Titans. It's because there was common narratives that he was seeing in all of his guests. that actually move the needle for us in health and just mental well-being. That's what I did on my show. And we do that from a different place. You know, we talk about physical and emotional intelligence, which I think just to round out our conversation when we look at how breath affects the body, breath work is that autonomic lever that we pull to adjust our stress, and it also does its own thing without us doing anything. So if you look at what true intelligence is, whether you believe in higher power or just being smart, intelligence has less with how much you know to do, and it has the most with your ability to gather information, listen to podcasts, to apply that information, try on the sweater, like go through the breath work, do the thing. And then lastly, which is what you really are a pillar for your community, is embodiment. You know, you gather the information, you apply it, you test it. And then finally, there's an embodiment phase where people just can kind of sense from you that you got it and they can trust you. And that's true intelligence. And this is what we talk about on Wellness Force, is this physical and emotional intelligence.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, your podcast, I mean, you cover a lot of different topics. You know, I mean, you have wellness in the title, but it's way beyond that in the sense of spirituality and emotional. I mean, there's just a lot of, and you take a deep dive. I mean, you do so much research. You're really good at what you do.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a joy with you. And thanks for all these questions, too. I'm going to go back and look at these questions.
Let's go back. You know,
there's like Swamp Hawk is on point.
Yeah.
Sounds rough. I'd need to do a solo camping for that one.
That's funny. All right, let me see. For some reason, my computer, I'm not able to see these questions, but all right. Come on.
Goldie Blessed. Are you sure I won't panic?
Congrats on the weight loss. Can you use breathing techniques to induce more stress, to increase productivity?
Huh. She might have meant to say reduce.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Are you sure you won't pass out?
Vagus nerve.
Sending this to my kids. Thanks, Kim. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, super interesting. A lot of great stuff here.
Yeah, that's some great questions.
That's awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate all of you being here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you're not yet subscribed, you got to do so that you get updated when we launch videos like this, one-off videos, and other videos where we interview experts. Definitely download that guide. So I'm going to upload the link right now in the chat and below. And definitely check out Josh's work. And I linked his Instagram as well. And so we'll be sharing some cool stuff there. So, Josh, as always, appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
For sharing this tip.
Yes.
That was a very powerful exercise, man.
Yeah, everyone, breathe.
Yeah. Look at my daughter. You know what? Actually, what we're doing with my daughter is just 10 breaths, 10 belly breaths.
Oh.
Because she would get like frustrated and like she would scream. Like that was her coping mechanism. And I was like, you know what, Nez, before we do that, or she would throw things or get irritated. So I was like, take just 10 breaths. I wasn't telling her to hold it for any length of time. It's just like, and she was like starting to use it. So anyway, that was when she was like, I think 5. So
yeah,
I'm not saying she's a pro at all. We could do a technique with her. But yeah, this can be really, because
it works for adults and kids.
For the adolescents, man, I mean, the suicide rates and drug use and all that is so high right now. It's scary.
Yeah. And also too, it's like literally anyone can do this, you know, and it just takes the curiosity. So everybody here is curious.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all later.